So here we have the original NES box, and as you can see, the NES was meant to float in space. See the stars in space. And of course, you know, every box has accessories that they have to show you. But then they also have games, and they like to show you games, and there's even a list of games. And you can see on the back, they even showed you what was included in the box. They had their rhetoric, which I'll, hopefully the focus will pick up on that. And I'll just kind of slowly scroll through. So you can pause the video and read this crap if you actually want to. Typical NES BR, or BS I should say. And so there you have it. And the thing that kills me about this thing is this family. See, action-packed entertainment, or excitement, sorry, I'm reading it backwards, for the entire family. So yeah, I noticed they have a TV, they have an awfully strange table, but no lamps or chairs or anything. So I guess this is what a living room looks like in space. I guess if you lived in space with the Nintendo Entertainment System, you know, chairs would be kind of pointless because, you know, you would just float everywhere. So the living room of the future. And look how excited they are with their future haircuts. It's awesome. And I don't know why the parents are so excited. My parents were never that excited about my Nintendo. So the big deal about this system I like is you can tell the box is pretty beat up. But this was bought by an older gentleman. And he did not have any kids, as far as I know. And so he bought it for himself. And he messed around with it for 4 hours, decided he didn't like it, boxed it up, and stuck it in his garage. This one came out in '87. This is the action pack, and we're going to unbox it. And although the box is pretty dinged up, the nice thing about the Nintendo Entertainment System and the older Nintendo stuff is everything came in this nice big styrofoam brick. So you can look at the brick and see that the brick has actually got some dings and stuff on it. But the system is in mint condition in here. And between him and me, his 4 hours of my time with it, it's probably we got about 12, 14 hours somewhere in there. So it doesn't even have a full day of use on it. As you can see, there's a warning that's set on there, warning you to, projection TVs, hooking up to projection TVs. So we're going to open it up here. And right on top of the system is all the printed stuff. And we've got the orange zapper, since this is after the first run of the models. So, yeah, I don't want you going out there shooting anybody. But for some reason, these are all printed in 1985, making people believe that these actually... No, this is 1987 is when this was particularly made. So, nice click to it. And as you can see, I'm pretty meticulous. So, the time I did use it with it, I made sure I cleaned it off so I didn't have any of that gunk. So, it's in pretty clean mint condition there. The only thing I did take out of the box and left out was the RF adapter, because my TV likes to upscale over to 75 ohms as opposed to the old composite cables, a lot cleaner looking over 75 ohms. So my Super Nintendo is actually using that right now. But you can see here's the old cables that you got if you wanted to hook it up through composite. And the bag is unfortunately ripped into. This is, what these are, is you're probably looking at it and wondering what the heck this is. So you can see the two hooks. Older TVs use 300 ohms, and you hooked up your old antenna up through basically what was a couple of screws in the back. And so if you had an older TV, it didn't have the newer 75 ohms cable adapter, you would hook up your RF switch to this, and then vice versa on there. Also, the other way around, if you still were using an antenna, they gave you this little adapter here. So you can hook up your box up to the the 75 ohms, and then this back to the RF switch, and then you would hook up your antenna to that. Nice little history lesson for you guys. So here we have the included game, which everybody got: Duck Hunt Duck Hunt Mario Brothers. I'm not able to talk today, so you can see there's the manual. And it's in pretty good shape. It's got a little bend in the corner and a little nick up here, but it's in pretty fair shape. It's got the seal of quality, of course. There is the actual story that I posted online earlier this year about Super Mario Brothers. You can see some of the original art there. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Some of the fire flowers and whatnot. It kind of makes me wonder where it was at. And then you got the tricks, tips, and all that fun stuff. And so, and of course the game in the original sleeve. And the thing that you would get with these is you get a lot of dings and scratches, and the label itself, the label will kind of wear out. So you can see it's in pretty decent shape. If I can get it to shine through the light, you can see there's no dings or scratches or anything like that. Thankfully the glue held in there, so it's not coming off the cartridge. So everything's in pretty good order there. It's like new. And it's got the original sleeve. And let's see what else. You got your adapter, wall adapter, of course. And then the thing that I think is really sad with most video game systems is they actually included controller 1 and controller 2. I don't understand why they can't do that now. Just factor in the price, make the console a little bit more expensive. That way I don't have to go out and buy a second one. As you can see, there it is. It's in pretty fair shape. It's got like a single scratch on the back of it. And if I get in here, you can tell this part here is actually molded into the plastic. As opposed to a sticker that they like to do a lot of times these days. And your sweat would get in there and you get all kind of crud and crap in there. Same thing with along the controller edge where it's actually sandwiched together. You get a lot of weird sweat, crap, and stuff in there. So it's in really, really good shape. Both controllers are that way. So let's pull out the actual system itself carefully. And I wish you could smell this. It smells wonderful. It's got all that nice freshly printed manual and plastic toxic soup smell going on. So, you know, it smells brand new. So you can see it's in pretty good shape. Clean on the inside. One place that would get a ton of dust is on the top vents there. As you can see, there's no dust in there whatsoever. The only thing I noticed is the oxygen that was trapped in it caused the glue for the stickers to kind of loosen up, but I just ran my finger back and forth over it a couple of times and it stuck right back down, no problems. And of course you got the back there. And on the bottom, there's a lot of controversy about what this actually is. So on the bottom, this is where they would have added a floppy disk drive add-on. And then shortly after the system launched, they decided not to do that. So the connector's still behind there. They just put this plastic thing over it. The Nintendo Entertainment System, which was the Famicom over in Japan, this wasn't there. They used the actual cartridge slot. So they had a 60-pin cartridge slot as opposed to the 72 in the US. And so it allowed them to do extra things like sound chips and all that, to where here the extra sound chip capability would have actually been in the disk system and not in the system itself. So even if you put a disk or an extra sound processor on a cartridge, it would pass through the system and down here where it's expecting to hit the disk system to create a loop in the circuit. So that's why they couldn't do extra sound chips and stuff. But you can actually put resistors and solder resistors on there to close that loop on the motherboard. And then you can get a cartridge adapter for the old Famicom systems, which usually you have to take the top of this off, so it's kind of unfortunate. There's also a thing called, Retro USB makes it called the Power Pack, and it has an extra processor built into it. So if you decide to do that and you run like an old game like Castlevania 3, the Japanese version, it will utilize the extra sound processor on that. It's actually emulated, but it does a very good job of it. Set that there for a second. And for a lot of you that didn't know, the Nintendo Entertainment System's 8-bit processor was made by a company called Ricoh, I think, or Ricoh. They make copiers still to this day. And it was here is the registration form. Nintendo Power Propaganda with the kid with the strange pixelated pink eye problem. Anyways, but the Nintendo Entertainment System used a 8-bit processor called the 6502. Ran just under 2 megahertz speed. There is the control deck and the zapper instruction manual. And so we're going to open this bad boy up. And anyways, the 6502 was also used in sort of like a dumbed down version of it. It had less pins to make it a little bit cheaper. It was used on the Atari 2600. It didn't have as much functionality, and it couldn't process as much memory because of the shortcuts they made to make it cheaper. On the back of this poster, we got a quick start manual. And there's the front. And we got Dragon Warrior, Dragon Quest, Kung Fu, Mike Tyson's Punch Out. And try to get, it's kind of hard to hold it and get it, but you can see this is the playing with power time frame. And so there you go. That's pretty much everything in the box. So as I fold this back up carefully and put everything back in the box. Yeah, it used a 6502 processor. Interesting enough, it was also in the Apple II, or the original Apple also, Apple II, IIe, and the Commodore 64 used the 6502 processor. So it was a pretty famous processor. Matter of fact, a guy that used to make, program Nintendo games back in the day. Let's close that up right there, we go. Actually said he stole codes for him to this day, and I think he said it was the Xbox 360 controller that has a miniaturized version of the 6502 still in it. So he's still getting calls to this day to steal a program for that thing. Brian Provinciano, creator of Retro City Rampage, which just came out last week, when he started his project, Retro City Rampage, he actually started it as a Nintendo Entertainment System demake of Grand Theft Auto that he called Grand Theft Nintendo. And he actually built his own dev kit for an old NES and started making it. And then somewhere in the process, I guess about 3 years ago, he decided to turn it into a full-blown project. So the game is actually encoded for 6502 in assembly code, as far as I understand. And it's got a little bit of extra programming in there for the PS3 and Xbox 360 and stuff that allows it to do certain things like render more sprites on screen at once, so you don't get that weird flicker like you did back in the day. Because the Nintendo Entertainment System's, I think they called it Picture Processing Unit, which actually sent the video signal out to the TV, had a limit of how many sprites it could show on TV at the same time.